As great as the NBA playoffs have been, there was a terrible injury yesterday with Dame Lillard at this point of his career, may point towards it being a very hard battle back. And on today's episode, I want to talk about why the recent injury to Dame Lillard signals why the Milwaukee Bucks must look to trade Giannis Antetokounmpo and move forward with their roster. We can talk about it all and more right after this.
Welcome to the number one place for your daily basketball news and analysis, NBA Central.
What's going on, basketball fans? Welcome to another episode of NBA Central, aka the Six-Man Shenanigans podcast, as you're looking to transition over to that. And today's episode, we got something that's not so great to talk about. Dame Lillard suffered what many people are believing is a torn Achilles or ruptured Achilles, however you want to look at that. And that is, at Dame Lillard's age, is going to be a crazy injury to come back from. Now, not to say that it's completely impossible, but if Dame is able to make a comeback from this injury, it's not going to be for another year to 18 months, which puts the Milwaukee Bucks even further behind the eight ball in which they were in. Today's injury, ruptured Achilles, is the new kind of career killer in a lot of ways. Now, yes, KD has been able to make a comeback from it, as other players have, but much younger when they initially had that injury. And at this point in time, it's a devastating injury. And unfortunately for Dame, who came back from the deep vein thrombosis, right, and was able to make a return from that with that blood clot at record pace, really, this is now just a terrible injury to suffer for Dame Lillard. And, you know, after the game, Giannis Antetokounmpo talked about that and Dame and how good Dame is as a person and all those type of things. And, you know, unfortunately, you got to start looking at it like there may be a necessary conversation that needs to be had here on why it's time to move on from Giannis for the Milwaukee Bucks. They're going to have to ask themselves that tough questions when it comes down to it, right? But Giannis's comments after the injury were this. Obviously, seeing anyone going through something like that is tough. You just wish for the best case scenario. But again, it doesn't matter if he's your teammate, your opponent. You don't want to see anybody get hurt, because I think we put so much time and effort into our jobs and try to be healthy and try to help our team. You don't want to go down because you don't know how it's going to affect your career moving forward. But at the same time, now I'm talking about my teammate Dame. I've seen the last 2 years that we've been teammates, the things he's been through on the court and off the court. And I said previously, I have so much respect for him. A lot of people don't see what Dame has to deal with, but I've been around him every single day, and it's hard. And you feel that coming from Giannis Antetokounmpo in regards to his teammates. But this is just an Achilles injury at this stage is just really bad when it comes to Dame. And, you know, maybe Dame, who's been a fast healer over his career, maybe there's something special that can happen here to where maybe Dame can make a return sooner than many people are expecting. But the chances of that are not likely, not with this type of injury. And that's where it sucks at, really, for Dame and everything he's done over the course of his career. And you know, he was traded and sent here to the Milwaukee Bucks mainly because of the Bucks wanting to make sure that they can put something around Giannis to make sure that they can, you know, be good enough. Giannis has been very clear over the course of how he's communicated about his career and the things that come down the line. He wants to compete for titles. And as long as he feels like he's competing, he's going to be there in Milwaukee. He's locked up into the 2027-28 season, where he does have a player option going into that year. So they have at least 2 more years with Giannis Antetokounmpo's contract. But here's what I'm going to say. Unless the Milwaukee Bucks have something special under their sleeve that they feel like they can pull to bring a team that's going to be a championship level contender, they're heading into a very messy situation when you look at it, right? Let's go into this offseason for the Bucks, for example. They don't have their own first round pick until 2031. So it makes no sense for them to quote unquote tank, or even they don't get the benefits of even being a bad team, right? That's why it was good they were able to make it to the playoffs this year. They don't own their own first round pick. They're in salary cap absolute hell when you look at the second tax apron, right? They have a little bit of space heading into next year where they could be $40 million beneath the second tax apron, but that only puts them a little bit under the first tax apron and have a little bit of wiggle room to see if they can do anything if they decide to do that, right? So their cap situation isn't the best on top of everything else that's going on, right? You have huge contracts due to Lillard, Giannis, and Kyle Kuzma, right? 130 million due to just those 3 players next season, right? And so that's what it looks like when it comes down to it. The injury, because this is believed to be a torn Achilles tendon for Dame Antetokounmpo. Dame Lillard. it just makes it even that much more bleak of a situation. And while the Milwaukee Bucks probably don't want to talk about trading Giannis, and honestly, I wouldn't want to talk about trading Giannis either. You have a generational player on your roster, but the fact of the matter is just this: unless you have an aging roster. Giannis is 30 now. He's over 30. Dame's 34 years old, right? You got Kyle Kuzma, who's 29. He's going to be 30 the majority of next season. You got 36-year-old Brooke Lopez, 30-year-old Bobby Portis, 32-year-old Pat Connaughton. Like, you have an aging roster with a huge salary cap bill. Have we seen this happen before? And the injury concerns that are all around this roster as well. Listen, compliments up to the Milwaukee Bucks and their GM for trying to once again reinvent this roster, right? At some point this season, with trading a guy in Chris Middleton who had been there forever, right? You brought in Kyle Kuzma, but the fact of the matter is, guess what? It didn't work. It didn't work. And so now the Bucks find themselves in a place that no franchise really wants to find themselves in. You have to have a legitimate conversation in potentially trading your star player to try to salvage the future of your roster. And that's where the Milwaukee Bucks sit at. Do I expect them to make that decision this offseason? Probably not. But heading into next year at the trade deadline, there is going to be some serious questions that they need to have. Like, don't be the Dallas Mavericks and trade Giannis if you do and not take deals. If you start, if you start a bidding war for Giannis, you're going to get back 4, 5, 6 first-round picks, potentially, if you really want to get young talent back with draft capital attached to that. And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have to ask themselves. They went all in, and for going all in, they did win one championship. And sometimes that's all you get. And that's what the Milwaukee Bucks have to ask themselves, is that, or do they want to keep this afloat or try to keep it afloat? Because I really don't see it as keeping it afloat. Do they want to try to keep this thing together and hope that they're going to get another opportunity to win the title? Or do you want to do and give yourself a better and more clear future by moving on from Giannis now? That's a question that they have to ask themselves. That's going to be a tough conversation to have. But again, you don't get to run a front office and everything just goes the way that you hoped or planned it to go. You have to be malleable. You have to be willing to move off and change some things if you feel it's really going to help and benefit your team. And that's the place that this Milwaukee Bucks team have to come to a real honest conversation about. Are we at the place now where it's time to move on from Giannis so that we can have some semblance of a future? That's what they have to ask themselves, and we'll see. We got Rob in the building, says, hold on, let me get back here. Rob says, oh, damn, Achilles, not good news. Achilles is not good news at all. Definitely Isaiah Thomas. Dominique's career was over with an Achilles, but Kobe, I think, was the first to come back. Good point on Kobe. But Kobe, it was like, I think it was even after Kobe came back, it was probably, another year before Kobe looked anything like himself, right? And this is why I always say, for everybody who's asking for a star or a certain player, be careful of what you wish for, because you don't know what could happen, especially when it comes to injuries. Yeah, I mean, but you can never plan for that. You just never know what's going to happen when it comes to injuries. And there's no way you can know that either. Let's see. This is why everybody should take the Oklahoma City or Golden State Warriors approach. Build through the draft and hope for the best, because having a bunch of contracts, that's hard to move. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, it definitely is, bro. Like, when you have a bunch of big contracts, it's hard to gain flexibility. And the second tax apron now, the fact that we're in the second tax apron era of the NBA, it makes things even that much more difficult, really, when you look at it, man. And so, we'll see what the Milwaukee Bucks decide to do. While everybody kind of feels like they know what this injury is, wait till it's officially announced on what is happening with Dame here. But I think overall, we're seeing it, and it's a difficult place to be in. But one of the things, let's switch gears here, and I want to talk about something positive while we're talking here today, right? And that's Anthony Edwards. I think it's time for everybody to get back on the train and realize that we are seeing, I think, in this playoff series against the Lakers. Now, we'll see what happens going forward into subsequent, and they got to make it out of this series first. But we could be seeing Anthony Edwards once again remind everybody why he was talked about as potentially the face of the NBA going forward. And I got a bold claim to stake here. This is just me, my personal opinion. I know people are going to bring up Jokic and Wemby and other players and SGA. I do think that within the next 3 years, Anthony Edwards is going to be viewed as the best player in the NBA. And I think this playoff series against the Lakers has reminded that, yes, LeBron is old, 38 years old. And I'm not saying just because of what Anthony Edwards has done to LeBron at times in the season. That's not why I'm saying that. I'm saying that you're seeing a player in Anthony Edwards who not only has the personality, who not only is evolving his game. Look at what everybody's made so much about Anthony Edwards as a shooter this year. And make no mistake about it, it was a great historic shooting year for Anthony Edwards. But look what he's grown as a facilitator, right? As a defender. Anthony Edwards is stepping up his game so much for. It's been crazy to see. 43 points last night to drop on the Lakers' head on 52% shooting from the field and 50% shooting from the three. Over the course of this opening playoff series, he's averaged 30 points per game on 45% shooting and 43% shooting from three and 82% from the free throw line with basically 8 rebounds, 6 assists. Anthony, this is a reminder, and I know that the Minnesota Timberwolves did not have the best season. There were tons of questions over the course of their season, but I'm telling y'all right now, Anthony Edwards is reminding everybody who doubted, everybody who forgot, everybody that gotten caught up in the Wemby conversation, the Luka Doncic madness, everything that's going on with that. Anthony Edwards is firmly reminding everybody, hey, no, this could very well be my league going forward. Now, the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to have to continue to put a team around him, put in tons of effort to figure that out and things like that. But make no mistake about it. I think when you look at the season that Ant had, paired with this playoff run that he's going for, with the confidence, the leadership that he showed this year as well, people forget when the Minnesota Timberwolves were struggling at the early part of the season, Anthony Edwards did not mix words. He called out his teammates for their performance. He called out himself for his performance. And that is what the difference is for me in the personality of somebody like Anthony Edwards. It's easy to call out your teammates. It's easy to say what your teammates are or aren't doing. It's more difficult that while you're losing and while you're putting up good numbers, that you also say, hey, I need to be better as a leader. I need to be better in my execution. But here's the thing, not only just saying it, living up to it. Anthony Edwards has stepped his game up at every step along the way of the season, even when he has things struggling, right? Because there have been times in this Lakers series where he hasn't played the best. He hasn't finished around the rim the best. But he still gave it in other aspects of the game to where it reminded you, no, this is not only his team, but he's the best player. I do Locked On NBA Monday through Friday, right? We drop around 1 p.m. Eastern every single day. And I have been saying that I believe that Anthony Edwards has the ability to be the best player in any series he's in. And he's showing that in this series against the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, of course, I know I'm putting myself out here for criticism, saying it at this point in a first round series, because if they go on in round 2 to get absolutely waxed, there are going to be people who come back to this video like, hey, Haize, how'd you feel about Ant again? But I'm telling you now, and it's not just because of this playoff series. It's not just because of a short spurt from Anthony Edwards. It's because of you're seeing the way that this kid is developing and that he's growing. And keep in mind, he's 23 years old. There are rookies on his team now that are older than him. Keep that in mind. He's not done developing. He's not done growing. He's not done doing any of that. And when you talk about somebody who has the potential to be the face of the league, Anthony Edwards has the opportunity to be that guy. Rob says, and is the guy with target. I doubt it's possible. He seems like the most durable star. Yeah, it's going to be impossible to target Ant. I'm just going to be clear in this. And in the season and I've said this before in the Discord, I can completely see in the next 3-4 years that the best 3 players in the league, in no specific order, Wemby, Anthony Edwards, SGA, with Luka and Jokic still there right below those guys, are on the same level, however you want to view it. I can completely see that being the future that we're heading to in the NBA. And Anthony Edwards is putting up the numbers, he's putting up the response and everything to get that done. This is the birth of not just a star, a superstar. The way that he's playing and performing in this series, on top of how he finished the season, this is how you see superstars get born. And I firmly believe that Anthony Edwards is knocking on the door of being that guy for this team. Now, it's up to the Minnesota Timberwolves have had great players before. And they've not been able to build around those guys. Look at Kevin Garnett, which is the one that we always go to as far as a franchise, not being able to put the team needed around a player so that they can get to title contention, right? That is that him, Carmelo, right? They're like the poster child for that, right? Guys that have been great and never been able to reach a title. Kevin Garnett, Kevin Garnett did reach a title, just not with the Minnesota Timberwolves. He had to leave to do so, right? Kevin Garnett, Carmelo Anthony, James Harden, right? These are those guys. AI, a guy that never won a title, right? You have to be able to build around your star. You have to use the gravity of your star level player to be aggressive about going out there and getting guys that want to. And you're already in Minnesota, which is already a tough sell, right? But you got to be aggressive. And this is going to put onus on that front office in Minnesota to be able to get a guy or get players around Anthony Edwards so that they can be title contenders. Shay says, after the season, LeBron should look to hang it up, man. He cannot play extensive games like that along with the playoffs, no matter how much money he spends on his body. No, I don't think he's not at the point of hanging it up yet. He's going to wait till Bryce gets in the league. And I think next season, you're looking at them building the roster more around Luka's skill set. And because of that, you may need a little bit less. Like, you need more defenders, right? LeBron's still been very important for that Lakers team, but I think now the reason you got Luka is so you can start building around Luka and his skill set, and LeBron can still fit in that, right? Like, I don't think LeBron, unless he wants to leave the Lakers and retire, he's not going anywhere anytime soon. The Lakers are going to keep him around as long as he wants to stay around. But that's just my thought process. You guys can let me know how you feel on it down below. But that's it. Wanted to bring this episode real quick to you guys. Make sure you guys are following us at NBA Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, NBA Central Show at gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We're the number one spot for everything basketball related. And I'll see you guys the next time I feel like making a video, probably tomorrow. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Breaks Media.